Hello everybody, welcome back. It is me, your old pal Orpheus, with another adventure here on Orpheus Plays. It's good to see you. How you doing? Okay, so today I want to talk about something. I've talked about this a couple times before, or at least one time before. You know that asteroid that was coming towards Earth, and then it wasn't, and then it was, and then, well, they're gonna maybe have to blow it up. So we'll talk about that today. Don't worry, Armageddon is not well, I mean, maybe. But we'll see. Anyway, hope you're doing well wherever you are today, whether it's day or night. Doesn't matter to me as long as you're here chilling. And we're in survival mode here in Blade Sorcery. I'm playing the Nomad port today, the one you get on the Meta Quest headset, standalone. Pretty sweet, still just as good. All right, so we have 3 things that come out. I grab one, and I make the day miserable for everything that comes out the door. Let's grab that one. Big old sledgehammer. What? Do I have an extra spell in this game? Ooh, I might. Okay, anyway, so let's get things kicked off with our first traditional slow motion kill of the day. Oh gosh, that had to hurt. Let's mess with him a little bit more. Oh. And then we'll let nature take its course here. And he's not dead? Oh my gosh, what is going on? All right, another one. What is? Come here. Bro. He's not dead? What is happening? All right, well, now with that painfully out of the way, let's get to today's topic. All right, so I did a video a little while ago about an asteroid that is called 2024 YR4, and it is this asteroid. It's about the size of a 10-story building, right? If you were to measure the thing, about 300 feet or something like that. And it originally, when scientists discovered it, they're like, wow, a new asteroid. And then someone did some calculations, and they were like, oh, wow, a new asteroid that might hit us, right? and then they did some more calculations, did some more research on it, found out that it was not going to hit Earth. So, don't worry about that. Okay. So then it kind of slipped out of the news cycle. All right. Can I get this person's sword? Thank you. Anyway, so that kind of slipped out of the news cycle a little bit. What happened there? Anyway, and so, everyone just kind of forgot about it and went about their business. And so, well, it kind of came back into the news a little bit ago. And there's a kind of odd reason, and it's not one that you might have expected. And it is that it had a chance of hitting the moon. And at first that chance was, kind of small. We're talking like 1.9%, something like that. Nothing to really be worried about. You have a better chance of getting struck by lightning, something like that. Anyway, well, not really. 1 out of 99, I guess, or 1 out of 100. But so it was, a manageable risk. Not something we're going to worry about mathematically or anything. They got some more information on this thing. And it turns out, whoa, I hit you right in the face. What is going on? Did I just give him a piercing? What is happening? Anyway, so this thing was in the news again because they started doing more and more calculations, and it turns out the percentage started going up and up. First it was 1.9, then it was like 2.3. Well, now it's almost up to 5%, which that's a 1 in 20 chance of an asteroid hitting the moon. And something that big may actually goof up the moon quite a bit, because it would do... it's what's known as a city killer asteroid, all right? So it would wipe out an entire city area, probably cause some pretty nasty climate change for a little bit in terms of dust and all that stuff. How are these people so resilient? What is happening? But, so, it's one of those ones that's big enough that it could cause, pretty big mess for anywhere that it hit, and, probably a good regional kind of area around it. So, people started to get a little bit worried. And now we're at the point where, it's almost at 5%, like 4.9 or something like that as of time of recording this. And so scientists are getting their heads together, and what do? They wanted to see if they can destroy it. It is actually a plan that is being, what is... What is happening here? It's a plan that they're actually discussing. Sending some nukes out to this thing to try to blow it up. Well, okay, we've all seen Armageddon, right? We know that it's not just as simple as launching a nuclear weapon at it, is it? Well, it turns out it might be. Okay, because we're going to get into some deep science here. It's not going to be that deep, but it's going to be fun. Okay, so if you're talking about an asteroid that's like, the size of Bennu, all right, or Apophis, those big scary ones that they thought might hit us at one point. What is going on? Why are these people immortal? What is happening? And, if something that big, which was, it's the size of a city itself, pretty much. At least I think. Maybe I'm getting my math wrong, but if you got something that's huge, that's going to like wipe out the planet, if you just send nukes at that thing, they're just gonna, get absorbed. It's not really gonna do anything because of the mass of the thing. It's gonna, there's nowhere. The biggest problem is like when you set off a nuke on the Earth, the biggest damage comes from the shockwave, right? And the damage that comes from it is because there's air, okay? There's air and there are things around, and that air shockwave gets pushed out and it does a great deal of damage. The shockwave itself is, a good amount of the damage. It's the blast damage, right? In space, that's not really a thing. It just kind of goes in every direction. There's no, it doesn't hit the ground and then bounce, right? It just kind of goes everywhere in space. So if you try to set one of those off in front of an asteroid, it's just going to kind of piff off the surface. But what are some actual ways that we could take care of it? Well, one of the ways that's being discussed is by using tungsten rods, right, or some other metal, depending upon what they decide on. But tungsten is a good choice, right? Because it's ultra hard, it's ultra dense, and it's easy to shape into things. Ow! How dare you, lady? But they take these tungsten rods that are, I don't know, several hundred feet long, and you put them out there in space, and you line them up. Okay, so you have 1, 1, 1, 1, and you don't have to have them go at the asteroid, all right? All you have to do is just put the thing in the way of the asteroid, because the asteroid's traveling fast, it'll hit it, and this is the same as, when it hits this, it's the same as you hitting it this way, basically. It does a lot of the work for you, at least. All right, so you put one of those things... Why aren't these people dying? You put one of those things in its way, or, several of them in its way, and they can fragment and break up. So when they go into the asteroid, there's nowhere for that energy inside there to go. Nice shot. So what happens is the asteroid itself absorbs that energy, and it causes a shockwave inside of it. Well, you can get even better if you add some nukes to that. So you layer the nukes... so you have a nuke, a spike, a nuke, a spike, right? So it just goes and it pounds its way into the asteroid. Well, that's how we might do it with a big one. However, there are some issues when it comes to having this become a reality, right? Because, it's always simple. You go, like the Armageddon solution. Oh, why don't we just send a team up there and have them drill into it and put a nuke on it, right? It seems pretty simple. Barring the entire plot of the movies, but, the whole idea is that... Do I have... I have daggers. You like that? Anyway, so the traditional method, you think, all you got to do is just send up an asteroid killing team, and they will take care of it. They'll drill into it. Well, the problem is we don't have any craft that can actually do that right now at all. Maybe Starship if we activated it the right way. And got it all ready, but otherwise we don't really have the capacity to do that. And then there's the whole tungsten rod thing, or steel, or whatever you're going to use. The amount of manufacturing you'd need to make 1,000 of these things, get them out into space. They're all going to weigh a lot. So it's like you think about the practicality of what you're trying to accomplish here. You're trying to blow up something that really doesn't have... It doesn't usually give a shit about what you're sending at it. You know what I'm saying? By the way, that's a Dagger Storm, the mod. So usually these things are so large and they have their own gravity, and so they don't really care what you send it. Okay? Well, so what do? Well, thankfully for this one, we're not going to have to worry about doing anything silly like that. This one's small enough that they should be able to just nuke it wholesale, right? So they'll take a couple huge nukes, throw it up there, and just it's the same thing. They're just going to put them in the way of the asteroid, and then it would just kind of blow it up. Well, here's the problem. If you've been a space person, ow, damn you. If you've been a space kind of person most of your life and you've like followed the news in space and everything, you might know that there is a certain controversy that comes with sending anything nuclear into space. Now, the United States and I think Russia as well had a nasty habit of testing nuclear weapons basically everywhere. And one of the places that at least the United States did, they set off a nuke in space, and it was not the best idea. It made people kind of mad, and so every time that something nuclear goes up into space, people get a little worried because, what if that rocket explodes? What if that's one of the rockets that goes up and just kapoof, and then suddenly you have a whole bunch of radioactive material? Now, if it was a bomb, the bomb isn't gonna go off if it hits the ground. Okay, they have to be activated, armed, and all that. So they have to be armed and activated. So when it hits the ground, it's just gonna kind of incinerate. However, the nuclear material inside of it is going to have an issue because it's going to aerosolize, or it's going to turn into particles. And those particles are going to get spread essentially everywhere in the atmosphere of the entire planet, because suddenly you've got these big huge chunks of plutonium, uranium, whatever, that just got vaporized into the atmosphere. Not a good idea. Even though that risk is very low of that specific thing happening, like spreading everywhere and causing some horrible catastrophe, it's enough that the international community has been unhappy with the idea. Okay, these guys are taking blades to the skull, and they're not going down. But it's been kind of a no-no for the international community. Now, we've kind of turned our heads at using what's known as the RTG, which is the radioactive thermoisotopic generator, I think? Boy, I'm a nerd. It's the thing that they use. It's a nuclear-powered power source. If you saw The Martian with... what's his nuts? You know who I'm talking about. the movie The Martian. He uses that thing and he digs up. It's that thing covered in foil that he puts in the back of his rover. Okay, one of those things. It uses radioactive material, and as the radioactive material gives off, decays, it gives off heat, and that heat is also turned into energy. And so they use them. They have them on, I think, the Voyager probe. The ones that are far out in space, those are powered by an RTG. And so they last a very long time, obviously. Well, people still get a little nervous when you put those things up in the atmosphere. So what would happen if we send a whole bunch of nukes up into space? We have to set up an entire program, all of these resources, and then something fails with the nukes. Well, how are you going to convince people that it's okay to send nukes up into space? Because we're not looking, right now, we're looking at a 5% chance. And again, most people go, 5%, why would you send nuclear weapons into space for something that has a 5% chance of hitting the moon, not us, right? Okay, do you want parts of the moon coming down and hitting you? No? Okay. Do you know, you can also say 5% chance is 1 in 20? Okay? The asteroids that have chances of hitting us are the big ones that are concerning have less than it's a 0.00000 repeating percent chance, almost infinitesimal, right? That's how small it is. 1 in 20 compared to all of that is astronomically absolutely terrifying. Now, what'll happen if it hits the moon? I don't know. I didn't look into that part, but it can't be good because it's our moon, and we don't want some giant thing slamming into it. It was so much worse out on the moon than it would be here. Like I said, it's a city killer asteroid. If it hit the moon, it could take out half of one of the major features on it or something like that. It could be even worse. It could take chunks off the moon and send them at us. So how are you gonna convince the world? Because they see 5% and they say nothing. You know, when I explain it this way, 1 in 20, and you go, oh shit, that's a little bit scarier. So I don't know. I don't really know what the best solution for this is. We got a little while to figure this out. Not too long. But you might start seeing some news about how, we're going to be sending nukes up into space to blow up an asteroid. I don't know. What amazing times we live in, huh? We got the internet. we got self-driving cars. We got, just the most amazing rockets in the world, and now we're gonna have to blow up an asteroid to keep it from killing us. Whew, 21st century is when it all happens, man. Anyway, that's my little thing for today. What do you think? Should we blow the thing up? Go out there and send some rockets and maybe some big steel rods and line them up and blow that thing up? Or do we just let it happen? Do you just want to see part of the moon get blown up? I don't know. A little part of me is like, yes, do it. But anyway, that's not important right now. We'll see you in the next one here on Orpheus Plays. Be good, do good, treat yourself well because you absolutely deserve it. We'll see you next time. Bye!